Alrighty guys, we find ourselves at the end of our precision rifle season. This means I have buckets full of brass that I need to turn around, and I kind of use the holiday season when things are slowing down a little bit at work to do the brass prep. So we go into next year with fresh brass, everything is ready to go. Now, one of the key processes and one of the things that takes super long is to anneal your brass. Now, I've got the AMP, Annealing Made Perfect Mark II machine here with the DB, the database. This thing has proven pretty freaking epic. Recently, I started playing with the AMP Mate. Now, I've made some modifications to help it run Dasher. More on that resource at the end of the video. Basically, what this attachment allows us to do, and the problem we're trying to solve in today's video, I'm going to solve that problem for you guys too, because I can't be the only one that has this issue. With this guy, I basically have the ability to load a whole bunch of brass instead of going one by one by one and then inevitably standing for hours literally in front of the machine to get that perfect anneal, which is something that is vital for long range consistency. So this machine solved that problem. So this pops on like that. You give it its own power supply. I think I just can't see lacquer, but it kind of indexes like that. You plug it in and it's relatively simple, a little bit finicky to set up, but once you kind of figure out how it works, it's freaking awesome. So my problem is, however, I'm still chucking in like 5 cases at a time. I've even gone so far as to tape like a little bit of a longer tube on the top here just so I can get more in, so that frees my hands up to do other things around the reloading room. But we're going to change that hopefully today. And if I'm successful, I'm going to give this resource to you guys too, so you can upgrade your machine or get one of these machines and then get the upgrade for you. Now, recently I've been loading, or I've had a Dillon 650 for a very, very long time. So I bought finally the case feeder with it. Yes, I know I was using a 650 without a case feeder, which basically led me to the same problem, having to chuck them in. But I've got a 5-year-old, so that comes in handy because she likes chucking in bullets at the top. So what we're going to try to do today is fit this case feeder from the Dillon, okay, onto the Annealing Made Perfect machine. And the way I kind of thought I'd do it, so I'm going to 3D print up some parts that's going to fit in here as well as on my machine to basically support this at the right height. Now, one of our problems we're going to face when we do that is when you swap out cartridges and stuff, there's a little bit of adjustment that you need to do there just to get it to feed properly. So we have to build in some kind of way where we can adjust the case feeder up and down, and I've kind of got an idea of how I'm going to do that. So first things first, I'm going to kind of do some measurements here, sketch up my initial design, then I'm going to jump over into my CAD software, draw something up, and hopefully by the end of this, we're going to have fully automated annealing. I'm going to dump a whole bucket of brass in the top, and it's just going to freaking rip it while I edit videos or something like that. So without further ado, let me kind of brainstorm how this is going to look. I kind of have an idea. I want it to be solid, so I might actually recess my design a little bit so we can have some Velcro to make sure that it's stuck on there. It doesn't potentially slip off the edge. And I kind of want to use, let's get some space here. I kind of want to use the height of the machine and not increase the footprint, because a lot of people might potentially be challenged by how much space they have on their desk. So to now have a whole separate thing that has to footprint here or over there, you might not have that space. So my goal is to contain my design within the footprint of the machine. So the head's going to sit about here, and I want to support it off this corner of the machine. So I'm going to do some measurements, sketch out what I had in mind for my height adjustment, and then get to modeling some parts. Like I modeled this super cool Dasher adapter to help it eject Dasher. Because the Dasher is quite a small little case, I had a little bit of tuning to do to get it to eject, and eventually I just designed a little part, printed it and glued it on there, and it also makes the ejecting of all the other cases so much smoother. So 3D printing for the freaking win. I'm gonna grade some cokies. So after some initial measurements, here's basically a proof of concept design. This is some parts from something else that I designed that we actually use at our store. So I'm gonna just thread those into each other, okay, as just a proof of concept to show you guys what we're working with. I'm gonna turn the machine so you can see it a little bit better in the chaos that is developing on this desk. So again, this is a corner where we wanna be on. That's indexed in its spot. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna insert this large black rod into this hole. It goes in this way, okay, because there is a little bit of a taper on it, okay. Then we're gonna pop this guy over this feeding section and slide it into place. Now keep in mind, we are gonna adjust or design this mechanism here with some adjustment, and effectively I'm just going to use a little remote to space that. But effectively, this is what we're after. We're basically not increasing the footprint of the AMP. So if you're backed up against the wall, I think this is going to be slick if we can pull this off. So a little bit more fiddling, and yeah, then I'm going to jump into CAD, take some measurements based off this. Kind of looks level. I mean, I'm pretty freaking stoked. Relatively simple design for an annoying problem, and hopefully you guys can take advantage of my solution that I'm designing. Anyway, okay, off to CAD we go, and let's draw some lines. One of the few subjects I was actually good at school. Turns out I recently had a dyslexia test, and I have such bad dyslexia that I should have taken oral exams at school. Or I should have attended the Derek Zoolander Center for Kids Who Can't Read Good and want to learn how to do other things good too. Anyway, off to CAD, let's go. Okay, so there's a square hole in that case feeder which sits like this. Okay, so there's a square hole. So I'm thinking I'm going to design a square insert that you can also attach with the set screw on the back that's there. But very importantly, whatever we do for our height adjustment, I'm going to put some threads in there. Okay, so when we have our pole, that's going to look something like this with some thread on it like that. Okay, that is going to thread into some kind of base corner unit that's going to sit on the corner of the AMP, something like that on the corner. There'll be some threads in here. So this slides into the case feeder like that, which is obviously blue. So our case feeder's over there. It's going to slide in there. We're going to print 1, 2, 3 pieces to make this design come to life. And hopefully it doesn't take that long to print. So probably I'm going to design this now. It's going to take a few hours to print. And then we're going to circle back and see how this works. Hold thumbs. So with the magic of YouTube, it's now the next morning, and it didn't take long into the first print when I realized the error of my ways. You see the way I designed it with thread on the bottom, thread on the top, and then threading into our part to set how high the case feeder must be. When you turn those threads, they're all going to counteract each other, and that wasn't a very smart design. Also, the threads were a little bit on the weak side because they were very thin, so I pretty much finished that print, and then 11:30 last night, I jumped back into my design and I made a few changes. So now basically these two pieces just friction fit into each other. This guy chills over there, and our sort of spacer thing for the case feeder still goes into the back. Let me just take this plate out. Okay, that's gonna come out. So this still goes into the back, but now I've added these indents, okay, sort of like indexing little holes, if you will, and now you can move this up and down and simply put a set screw in there and you are off to the races. So let's get this assembled, and then I'll show you guys how this should work in action. This will be available on my website to purchase, okay, we'll ship this to you internationally. If you apply friction like this or force like this on a 3D print, it's not going to be very strong. This has obviously been designed to take weight like this. Seeing that this is not really a moving part, it doesn't need to be crazy strong, but I will demonstrate its strength. So I'm going to pop that guy in like that, and then come over to our little hole over here, or our spot we designed, and then simply click that in, and all of a sudden we are off to the races. Now, to give you an idea of how strong this is probably about, I don't know, between 500 and 600, maybe 800 pieces of dasher brass. So we're going to pop that in there, and then that is actually 100% fine, which is awesome. Now, I wouldn't recommend putting 800 pieces into a case feeder, because when something gets stuck as it's going around and around, it's going to be a pain in the butt. So take like 50, chuck them in, and kind of manage it like that. That's my advice. So let's fire things up, get our DB fired up, get the AMP mate fired up, get some power into our case feeder over here. There we go. Boom, just want to see that that runs. It doesn't run. Oh, the speed's turned all the way down. Lol. Okay, that's running. Laka. Okay. So let's turn that off real quick, and we're going to add some brass. Let me just make sure that this guy's in the right position. Okay, so now that that's done, let's throw a little bit of brass in. Noise alert. And then you need something to catch your hot brass. Now, it is not recommended that you throw your brass in cold water after the fact. You don't need to do that at all. Also guys, if you're still annealing with a flame, I know everybody can't afford a machine like this, but this is the most consistent way to anneal. That flame, the temperature changes over time, and it's just not as consistent. So induction annealing is the way to go indeed. So I'm gonna hit run, go to my database, which is awesome now, select my Dasher Alpha Brass, hit load, it's automatically loading in the profile, and I am gonna hit, we need some cases. Alrighty, we've got our cases ready, our program's loaded up, we're gonna hit start. I'm gonna catch them in my aluminium tray. I like to sort of have this over here, then my brass doesn't take such big of a fall. It is gonna make a little bit of a ding, so keep that in mind. I sit in my office or I'm busy fiddling here. Keep in mind, this is not the kind of thing you wanna walk away from. If one of these cases falls on a carpet, catches on fire, or something goes wrong, you wanna kind of be in its vicinity. So I don't think this is a set and forget, fill it up with brass. Now earlier, I tested it, okay? I did 137 pieces, and during those 137 pieces, the Dylan case feeder didn't like the Dasher that much. My first time ever using the Dylan case feeder with the Dasher. There's for sure a little bit of tweaking required just to get that to feed right. I kind of see some of the cases get stuck on the side, so I'm sure with a little bit of finagling, we can finagle that. I'm gonna stop it after this piece, and then I'm gonna end the video by saying, this thing has been awesome. It's just, turn down the noise, bro. This has been an awesome edition. I've done a bunch of 2 to 3. I did, as I said, quite a bit of Dasher just now, and it's gonna be a staple for me because I highly value my time. So adding the AMP mate and automating another part of my process. Now the biggest thing that takes all my time is obviously when we're throwing powder, but I potentially have a solution for that to speed up my powder throwing process too, now that I'm back in the precision rifle game and I'm shooting, 200-300 rounds a weekend. So we're loading a lot, and I don't like standing in front of my scale. Guys, let me know what you think about my mod, okay, or my little design here. Simple solution to a problem I'm sure a lot of people have. Again, this product will be available from my store. I'm also going to send it to the AMP guys. Maybe they can refine a little bit or run with the idea. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. And then, guys, keep in mind, this is going to upset a lot of people. Induction annealing is just so much more consistent than gas annealing. So if you're in the market for the induction annealer, look no further than the Annealing Made Perfect guys. They do a ton of research. There's a bunch of fascinating articles. If you're not even annealing, I urge you to go over to their website, read some incredibly detailed studies that they've done on case hardness and the annealing process and all those things. It's really fascinating stuff. Also, if you're in the market for one of these machines, we do sell them at our website, Impact Pro Shop. We've got 419 stuff, we've got the MDT stuff, we've got the Vortex stuff, we've got all the lekker stuff. So support our store, we'd really appreciate that. That's impactproshop.net. On that note, I am gonna hit go again, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.